Hello. I cannot believe that I'm going to do this show. That was the last show I wanted to do about the Mbonambi and Tom Curry issue. And let's face it, it seems like a storm in a teacup. Just a little bit of background. Tom Curry, during the South Africa versus England match on Saturday, the 21st of October, accused Bongi Mbonambi of calling him a white cunt. And he went to the ref and asked, what must he do? And Ben O'Keefe said, nothing, I'm on it. Can't remember if these are these exact words, but something along that line. I just want to say that this happened. Oh, my apologies. The mic wasn't there. That's why you need extra eyes and ears. You see, this is what happens when you are anticipating to speak your mind. So thank you to my technical eyes and ears. But to get back to today's show, the whole sort of racial slur is, to us, a storm in a teacup as a South African. And when I first heard about it, I thought, look, this is rugby. Things get said. And I thought they were having a fight, a one-on-one brawl, where it was the two of them opposite each other. And then Bongi said something to Tom Curry that he didn't agree. But it was not the case. It was close to the defense line. And Bongi, I will still play the audio. And you can decide. And Bongi was shouting to his teammates. So the fact that they were not alone, there were other team members on the field at that exact spot. They were not even having a fight. Bongi was speaking to his team. There were other players around, and Tom Curry of the English rugby team decided that that cunt was aimed at him. And he went to the ref already. For me, when I realized, but they were not even alone. Bongi was speaking to the team. Tom Curry didn't go to his captain, which is protocol in rugby matches. In a rugby match, unlike soccer, when any drama queen soccer player can go to the referee, in rugby, the ones who approach the ref, it's the captains. When you watch other games, where the players were ill-disciplined, if anything happened, the ref calls the captains. So already there, Tom Curry broke protocol. He didn't go to his captain, Owen Farrell. No, he went to the ref. Why is that crucial to take note of? The space by the ref is the space where audio, sound can clearly be recorded without any doubt of what you have heard. And he said that the player called him a white cunt. What must he do? The fact that he knew the audio was recorded, that's number one. Number two, the fact that Mbonambi, Bongi, is one of the key players in the South African team. And I also want to say this didn't happen after the match. This happened, I think it was like 10 or 15 or 23 minutes into the game. This happened. So to me, what that said already, because remember, the game was still ongoing. They still didn't know the outcome. He wanted, or he might have, wanted to remove a key player from the South African team to increase their chances of winning. I don't know. Might be true, might be not. You are free to make your own assumption. You are free to let me know what you think, because this didn't happen after the match. And remember, the strength of South African teams, it lies in part of our strength, not all, part of it, it lies in our scrummage. The way the South African teams scrum. And Bongi is a key fixture. He is almost like, you can call him the balancing power in the scrum. And you know, when there's an imbalance, what happens in a scrum? It collapses. It causes a penalty then for the opposing team. That's just my assessment. You wanted to weaken the South African team. So for me, the first point, he went and spoke where he knew for certain the audio would be clearly recorded. The second thing for me that bothers me, why I thought that I need to speak about this, because at first I thought, you know what this is? It's ridiculous. It's nonsense. It's a game between two men. You know, when you look at what is being said during a cricket game, my gosh, people would be sued. They would be taken to the Human Rights Commission. This is rugby. Interestingly enough, rugby has been a game of gentlemen, even though it's a very physical game. But the rules are very clear. The second thing was that the worst thing for a South African public figure is to be accused of racism, whether it's in the country or whether it's abroad in another country. Our public figures are petrified. It is the worst thing. You can be accused of anything, but not of racism. If you want to instantly divide this country, accuse a public figure of racism. And to me, the accusation of Tom Curry that was aimed at Bongi, it's a terrible accusation, because now when you go and Google Tom Curry, it's racial slur. Mbonambi's name comes up. So for the rest of a very good rugby players, a pivotal key rugby player's career, when you Google his name, racism, racial slur will be attached to his name. And that is the worst thing that could happen to any rugby player. But before I go on, I just want to bring into context the history of South Africa. We have been a racially divided country. We don't shy away from that. We are a country that we are still dealing with the pain and the damage of apartheid. And for the last few years, we didn't have anything to celebrate as a nation. And the Springboks of 2023 gave us that opportunity. And now, instead of focusing on the game, the whole headlines, which is pure sensation, because media does not sell good news. It sells sensation. The headlines now, it's about this alleged racial slur. And I want to play the audio. And I want you to take a listen, and whether you tell me, because I tried to listen, I couldn't even hear what was being said. And this is the sound. It has been cleaned out so that the part of the noise of the crowd was cleaned out. And also, as much as possible, they tried to clean out the sound of the players, or as much background noise as possible. You listen to this and you tell me if this is not a storm in a teacup. This is courtesy of Cape Talk, and this is the show of Lester Kivitz. Let me just see. I'm trying to listen. Let me just, okay. In the meantime, I will let you watch a slideshow while I'm trying to figure out what I am missing here with the sound of the audio.
A much ado about nothing. I guess this is what happens in between big games in rugby. It's the noise that fills the vacuum when there is no rugby happening. Of course, a lot of commentary, a lot of reports, particularly from English media, about what exactly Bongi Mbonambi said to Tom Curry. Tom Curry believes what he heard, and that's why he went to referee Ben O'Keefe. He believes what he heard. It may not have been what he heard, but he believes that is what he heard. The English Rugby Football Union's not laying an official complaint, but World Rugby saying, you know, we're going to step in and we are going to investigate. We've done their work for them. We've done their work for them because we found that particular audio of what was said on the field. It didn't take much work. It didn't take that much time. It took us a mere minutes finding that period of the game where Tom Curry thought what he heard. Bongi Mbonambi referring to him as a white C. That was the allegation. And we went to find that particular audio. And we can hear Bongi Mbonambi screaming on the line, the defensive line. I leave it to you to make up your mind. What did you hear? But what I hear is not what I think Tom Curry believes he heard. We found the audio, we stripped out the crowd sound, and you can make up your mind. We'll play you the normal version and we'll play you a slowed down version. This is the normal version. It's 1 second long. Did you hear that? Let's play it again. Okay, now let's play the slow down version, Mario. It's a call from the defensive line. Either wit kant, wide side, or the wit kant, the white side, as in England are wearing white. But it is either wit kant or wit kant. Jan de Koning is the editor of Rugby 365. We've done the work for World Rugby already for them. They can call off this investigation, can't they, Jan?
Morning, Lester, and thank you for having me on the show. Well, I don't think they will, but yes, you're right. They can. It's all much ado about nothing. And I think you're right when you say that Tom Curry think he heard something, but he doesn't. I think it's definitely something lost in translation.
Yeah, I understand. I appreciate why World Rugby says, okay, we're going to take a position where we will investigate any inference or allegation of racism. European football particularly has the issue of racism in the sport. And I think it's more of a PR campaign for World Rugby to say, you know what, we don't want to be...
There you have it. Okay, there you have it. Now you tell me, could you make sense of that? I've been trying to listen over and over again, but I can't even make out what Bongi is saying. There was no altercation, there was no fight between the two, but they have a history apparently together. I want to start off by just talking about the excellence of Tom Curry, who Tom is, what he has achieved, and why I think he is emotionally unintelligent. Tom Curry is being described in the British media as brilliant, a star, as excellent. Think of a superlative adjective, and you will hear the name Tom Curry mentioned. Because we are South Africans, we like to give due. We like to give credit where credit is due. A little bit of his history. He started playing professional rugby at the age of 17, shortly before his 18th birthday. Stop and think about that for a moment. He's been playing professionally since about the age of 18. He made an impact. He was called, together with another player, they were called kamikaze players because of the impact they made in the tackles. In 2017, he made his debut. In 2016, Tom Curry started playing with the Europeans Champions Cup. In 2017, he got an award for the RPA Player of the Year. In 2019, he also got an award for Premiership Player of the Season. 2020, England Men's Player of the Year. 2021, the British and Lions series, remember they toured in South Africa? He got the Player of the Series. According to the stats of the 2019, in 2019, he made the most tackles of any player in the Six Nations Cup. That was in 2019. The same year that the Rugby World Cup happened in Japan, and the same year that they lost against South Africa. In that game, that in 2019, that England lost against South Africa, Tom Curry was 21 years old. It was his first World Cup match. And since 2017 up until 2019, he has been getting awards consistently. So he was geared, he was set in his mind to win the World Cup for his team. And they lost out to South Africa. That must have hurt a lot. It must have hurt a lot. In the same year, he was also nominated for Rugby Player of the Year, I think, for the Rugby World Cup. And he lost out again to South Africa's Steph du Toit, who won the award. These might seem like random events, but if you as a player has been hailed that you are the best because you play exceptional rugby, you are the best because you're not afraid to tackle people, you are the best because you made an impact in your team, you begin to believe your own legend. But what is out of character is what he did by accusing Bongi of saying he called him a wit cunt. Let's look at who is Bongi Mbonambi. Bongi started playing in 2009. He started playing rugby. But it was in 2012 that he became a professional rugby player. In 2019, it was also his first World Cup. That's where he also met with Tom Curry as well. So sometimes there are parallels between someone's journey. Sometimes there is not. So now these two players, it seems as if according to some reports, there was a beef between them. But this was taking it to a whole new low. And just as a education in languages, in South Africa, 7 million people speak Afrikaans. 7 million people from different regions across this country. And when, like I've said even in a previous video, when we insult people as Afrikaans people, cunt is not the way that we will use. Afrikaans is a phonetic language, just like all the other African languages. Unlike French, your European languages, and English, where there are certain words you don't pronounce, they are silent, you say it, we don't. So when we want to insult you, we don't go to the language of the Queen. We stick to our own language. There's a familiar one that if you are South African, it is called Peter Oliver eating sweets. So if someone says Peter Oliver eating sweets. That's how we swear at people. And for a grown man to call another grown man a cunt, a South African man, it's especially with an Afrikaans background, because Bongi was born in Bethlehem in Free State, Vrystaat. To put this matter to rest, Afrikaans is a colorful language. We have many words that we can borrow from. When we want to hurt your feelings and insult you, when you get emotional, you revert to your mother tongue. And there's no way in any Afrikaans language that someone is called a cunt. Another thing I want to mention, in the 1995 World Cup, Johnny Wilkinson was one of the best kickers of his time, by the way. Johnny Wilkinson was taught to speak Afrikaans so that he can hear when it comes to the line out, so that he can hear what players are going to jump for the ball. So it seems as if someone taught Tom Curry also Afrikaans, but he missed the bus somewhere. It's a sad thing when you see a player with so much potential as Tom Curry, because the guy is brilliant. There's no getting away from it. He is a brilliant, impactful, brave. He is fearless on the field. But to see someone like that become as petty as this, it's very disheartening. And in a sport like rugby, because England, the rest of the world needs to understand what this means to us now as South Africans. We need hope, people. We need hope. And we cannot be distracted by nonsense like this. And the media, who loves sensation, they must stop printing this nonsense and get the facts straight. You heard the audio. I tried to make so when does the swearing start? I couldn't make sense of it. Another important thing I just want to focus on as well. England has not launched a formal complaint. It is now, I want to give you the time, now I can't see the time, but today's date is the 25th of October. England has not lodged a formal complaint with Rugby World Cup. And this to me is where it becomes very interesting. If it really happened the way that Tom Curry said it happened, because anything to do with racial, if it has a racial connotation, it's a huge thing in many parts of the world, and it needs to be resolved. So they have not lodged a formal complaint with the Rugby World Cup, but already Mbonambi is being tried in the court of public opinion. Tom Curry is being tried in the court of public opinion. Instead of focusing on this beautiful game, instead of focusing on the World Cup finals that will take place between two teams who are historical opponents, New Zealand and South Africa, instead of talking about who is going to win, about strategies, the game plan, the players, the build up to the World Cup, we are focusing on this nonsense started by one person with an overinflated ego who managed to be a brilliant rugby player. You know, Tom, here is the thing. It's very sad when people stop remembering your contribution to the game, but they remember your pettiness. And this is what it seems like. It seems like a petty, petulant child who couldn't get his way, and now he must hit the hardest where it hurts the most. This is an injustice to Bongi Mbonambi, who just wanted to go and play and represent his country. There, the audio, it showed there was no racial slur. It wasn't even aimed, it's wit kant, white side. That's an education in Afrikaans for you. And by the way, interestingly enough, wit kant is kant. If you really want to translate it to Afrikaans, it's kont. That's what we call it in Afrikaans. It doesn't even sound the same. So let's focus on what is going to happen on Saturday. Let's focus on supporting the teams, supporting the players. Let's focus on the positive side where now both countries, we are excited. There's a build up. And here is just a heads up to New Zealand. Because you know what, Springboks, I support you unreservedly. That's a given. But to the New Zealanders, I just want to say, in this country, in South Africa, there are South Africans who support you wholeheartedly. Right now, there are family members who are not talking to each other because one is supporting New Zealand and one is supporting South Africa. So you have our support as well. And we believe and we trust that every team will focus on the game at hand, that you will bring the pride and the honor back to this game. And I hope that Saturday's match, it overshadows this racial nonsense that has been blown out of proportion by the media. I hope that happens. And Argentina too, as a Bliefman, please, as a South African, I'm asking you, if I could beg you right now, very nicely, I want to ask you, please demolish the English. Shock them. I'm sorry to the English supporters. I'm sorry about this, but because of Tom Curry, no? Because of Tom Curry, hi, Tom. Because of him, now I am rooting that Argentina, maybe a miracle will happen. Maybe it will be the shock that I've been waiting for the entire Rugby World Cup. Maybe. Please beat England so that number 1, number 2, number 3, it can be a Southern Hemisphere affair. And Argentina, I know that no one really gives you they didn't give you much attention during this Rugby World Cup. But I want to say to you, yeah, in the Southern Hemisphere, we are rooting for you guys. Bring that bronze. Take it home with you. You need it just as much as we do. So that was just my say about what I think, what went down. And South Africans, let's show who we are. Because now there are reports that we are threatening the baby, Tom Curry. That we are threatening him. Please, that's not how we do things, man. That's not how we behave. Let's show sportsmanship. Let's show that we are the better team. You can't go threatening people for being babies, for throwing their toys out of the cot, for not winning a World Cup, for keeping hitting the brick wall called South Africa. No, man, it's pain enough. They came this close. One mark, it's more painful than a convincing win. So let them suffer in their pain. And to the rest of the English team, you did a brilliant job. You played well. It was tough. And almost we were on a plane back to South Africa. Almost. We would not have been there. So commend yourself for that. I thank you for watching, and let me know what you think. Let me know whether you think it was the right thing to do of Tom Curry to complain. Do you think it's like Bongi maybe said something that offended him? Let me know, because the audio speaks for itself. And let me also know who you think who is going to win. It's going to be tight. So South Africans are rooting, most of us obviously, for our country, but there are those who stand behind New Zealand, because New Zealand, when we didn't have a team to support before 1994, you were the team that we put our support and our hearts behind. We cheered for you, our mother's children from another continent. So thank you so much. May the best team win, and all of the best for every single player who is still in this World Cup. That doesn't include you, Tom Curry. But everyone else, do what needs to be done. Argentina, win that bronze for us. Springboks, New Zealand, do your thing on Saturday. Play the game so that it can overshadow everything else. I thank you. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.